Hi guys, today I'll be taking you through the critical analysis of Swami and Friends by R.K. Narayana. Swami and Friends is the first of a trilogy of novels written by R.K. Narayana, a celebrated English novelist from India. The novel, which is also Narayana's first, is set in pre-independence day in India, in a fictional town Malgudi. It is the story of a 10-year-old boy growing up during the 1930s, the time when India was under the British Raj. The central theme of the novel is growing up of young Swami. He is a spontaneous, impulsive, mischievous, and yet very innocent child. Through Swami's eyes, the reader gets to peek into the pre-independence day in South India. The life portrayed in the novel is accurate in its description of the colonial days, the uprisings, the rebellions, the contempt, and the reverence the natives had for their subjugators, together with varied elements that have become one, such as cricket and education. Hiding beneath a comparatively simple and unpretentious writing style hides the pressures and complexities of British colonial rule over India. While the book's events revolve around common childhood trials and turbulations, the personal experience of the protagonist and his friends are colored by their political context, even when the characters themselves have little understanding of it. By examining British colonial rule through the lens of an ordinary boy's relatable childhood, R.K. Narayana demonstrates the pervasiveness and subtlety of this political structure's power. Swami's story shows that the impact of colonial rule is present in every corner of India during this era, and that no individual's personal life can be truly separated from colonialism's profound, sometimes contradictory effects. Narayana first addresses the influence of colonialism in the book's opening chapter, when Swami and his classmate attend scripture class with Ebenezer, their fanatical Christian teacher. Swami perceives the way Ebenezer's Christian teaching conflict with his own Hindu beliefs and protest against his teacher. However, the consequences of this conflict are trivial. The students enjoy watching their teacher and get scolded by the headmaster, and Swami is simply happy to escape punishment. Again, even in this direct conflict, Swami is primarily occupied by his childish concerns like impressing his friends and pleasing his father, and colonialism remains a backdrop that affects Swami without occupying much of his attention. As Swami's story progresses, however, the political context around him increasingly intrudes on his contained understanding of his life. Swami begins to take actions that appear outwardly political, but he still experiences these events in a personal manner. By blending Swami's still childish perspective with large scale political events, Narayana again focuses the personal with the political and illustrates the impossibility of separating them, particularly within a context of colonialism. Swami, Mani, and Ranjan try out the experience of being in power themselves by bullying a young boy named Karupan and saying that they are the government police out to catch humbugs like you. The three boys' behavior reflect how the oppressed has an unconscious tendency to act out the oppression they have been experiencing all along. Moving on. Though Swami and his friends gain some degree of political consciousness over the course of this story, their lives continue to be circumscribed by colonial power in ways that are largely invisible to them. Narayana illustrates this reality vividly through the boy's experience of forming a cricket team by highlighting the prominent and complicated role that a quite essential English activity, that is cricket, plays in these kids' life. The author demonstrates that individuals living under colonialism often have no choice but to tolerate and sometimes even embrace the cultures of their colonizers. The concept of mimicry, ambivalence, and hybridity are derived from the three major concepts of post colonial theory. These concepts deal with the interdependence between the colonizer and the colonized. And this is something that we see happening in this novel all around. That is the concept of ambivalence, hybridity, and mimicry. Coming to ambivalence. Ambivalence is basically the mix of attraction and repulsion that categorizes the relationship between the colonizer and the colonized. The interrelationship of compliance and resistance defines ambivalence. The colonizer is often exploitative and nurturing, while the colonized is complicit but resistant as well. So, this is something that we see in the character of Swami. Swami has a preference for westernized names. He wants to name his cricket team in an English manner. At the same time, he feels happy to be called Tate. But he also burns his cap, which he believes is a symbol of British authority. Now, mimicry. Mimicry describes the ambivalent nature between the colonizer and the colonized. The colonial discourse encourages the colonized subject to mimic the colonizer by adapting the colonizer's cultural habits, assumptions, institutions, and values. The result is never a simple reproduction of those traits. The result is a blurred copy, which can be dangerous, even as this mimicry is never far from mockery. So, this is something that we see happening in the educational system. This is something we see happening with the letter that the children compose in Indian English. Conclusively, the text navigates between private and public as it starts from personal only to encompass the political. Thank you. Please like, share, and subscribe to my channel if you want me to make more such videos on text.